So now we'd like to move on into the presentations. And the first one is about regional level initiatives. Last year, we heard from Indonesia and Mexico about what is happening in ASEAN and the Central and Southern American region. And we will be hearing this year from Colombia, Australia, and India. And after each presentation, we will have comments from Uzbekistan, Canada, and Argentina. And after the three presentations are over, we will have some time for Q&A. For those who are attending online, you can send in questions through chat. And when the presentations are over, we hope that you can send in your questions through chat. Now, starting with Mauricio-san from Colombia, the theme is about the second Central and South America Alumni Conference. So Mauricio-san, please, the floor is yours.
Buenos días. Colombiano Mauricio Díazと申します。
Buenos días, I am Mauricio from Colombia. Now, I would like to make my presentation this year. The scholarship for Colombian students is in the 52nd year, and more than 340 people have come to Japan, and 58 or so are members of ACOGE. And the focus is education, of course. And on that point, we have a lot of academic seminars. We also had events like WOW, the World Assembly for Women, and there will be 3 events this year. And we also have the Sakura Science program. I would like to explain about this later. So this year, we will have the second symposium concerning the Central and South American Alumni Conference. There are 12 associations that are taking part, and more than 350 people took part in this. We had a lot of networking sessions. The theme was about whether or not students should come back to Japan after the scholarship is over, or should they remain in Japan a little bit more. There were many opinions that were expressed, but many people said that it may be good if the students have chance to work here in Japan after their scholarship is over, because that may also help them serve the purpose of international exchange. And also, wherever you are in Japan, you will be able to serve both countries, Japan and Colombia. And we had a panel discussion about why diplomacy, why artistic expressions, in order to connect and communicate between different languages and culture. I believe communication would be key. And this is from this year's Alumni Conference. Now, why is it World Assembly for Women that we took up? Over the 50 years, we looked at the people who received scholarship. We found out that the ratio of women were lower than men. In all areas, the number of women were very low. In all our activities, we want to have equity among men and women. One example might be the Sakura Science Exchange Program. There were 4 events so far, and 40 students came to Japan. We made sure that half would be women and half would be men. It's not just equity among men and women. We had private and public universities taking part, and also regional and urban areas people taking part. And we will be preparing together with Saitama University and Iwate University. And with that, I would like to end my presentation. Thank you. Thank you very much, Mauricio-san. So now I would like to ask Damira-san from Uzbekistan to make some comments about the presentation.
Thank you very much for your detailed presentation. So my question is, what strategies do alumni association use to promote the awareness about their organization?
Thank you, Damiram. Well, what we observed while preparing doing the forum that we did this year, the Latin American Forum of Students that we did this year, is that there is really no strategy behind the associations to build awareness about their own associations. With some exceptions, we have weak associations. I mean, they are built on strong people, but very few people are working in the association. Even if the country has a lot of scholars, there are few people working in the association directly. What we do is that we try to bring relevant topics and bring together relevant people to do events. For example, what we did with the 50-year anniversary of the association, what we did is to have the ambassador of the Japan in Colombia, together with the Minister of Science, the Minister of Education, the Minister of Culture in Colombia, together with the chairman, I should say chairwomen, because there are 2 women, the presidents of the biggest university in Colombia, private and public universities, and the biggest employer of PhD staff in Colombia. We had them together in a panel discussing what is the needs in terms of PhD or graduate students in Colombia for the future, actually for the following 50 years. So that there is a relevant topic and very visible for everyone. What we did in the last version of WOW last year, a couple of years ago, is that we brought a congresswoman together with the justice woman of the high courts in Colombia, and with a transgender president of a transgender woman, president of a university in Colombia, to discuss about gender inclusion. They discuss what is the political policy about bringing this topic, be aware of this topic. And with those kind of activities, what we do is to get visibility of the organization, so that the other members of the organization are also willing to participate and work together with us. Hope that answers your question.
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much.
Next, from Australia, Jason will make the presentation under the theme of the introduction of the activities of Melbourne chapter of the MEC Scholar Alumni Association and the first online meeting they have had. Jason, floor is yours. Good morning, everyone. I am going to talk about the Alumni Association of Mixed Scholarship in Melbourne. My name is Jason Johns, and allow me to read from the script I have prepared. I would first like to introduce the Alumni Association of Mixed Scholarship in Melbourne and the challenges going forward. I would then discuss the first online meeting that we have had. In Australia, there are 4 organizations of Alumni Association, one in Canberra and the other in Sydney, and the third one in Perth, and the fourth one is Melbourne. Different events are being organized at different locations. Say, for example, in Victoria, Melbourne has an annual event at the Japanese Consul General to promote networking of alumni. This is an event that plays a crucial role developing the alumni community. We would love to focus on 4 areas of activities going forward. First, I'm so sorry, I forgot turning my slides. We need to expand the opportunities to facilitate the community building of the alumni. The other goal is to promote mentoring services by the alumni for high school and college students. The third goal is to promote activities among the government, the business sector, and educational sector through the channels owned by the alumni. And the fourth goal is to disseminate the information of mixed scholarship programs at universities within the state of Victoria. In September 2023, we have held the first online meeting of Oceanian chapters, and that meeting discussed these challenges and goals. Online community, how to develop them and maintain it. That, I think, is one of the critical issues that is familiar to you all in this room. I look forward to exchanging views on this specific topic in the networking reception later tomorrow. This is the screenshot of the online meeting we have had. And this slide shows the pictures taken at the mixed reunion organized by the Japanese Consulate General in Melbourne. On the left, at the center of the picture on the left, is Consul General Shimada. With this, I would like to conclude my remarks. Thank you. Thank you, Jason, for your presentation. On Jason's presentation, I would like to receive comments from Natalia from Canada. Good morning, everyone. Jason, it was a very interesting presentation, and your Japanese is very good. I was able to learn a lot from your presentation and public speaking. Having listened to Jason's presentation, I have come to understand that the situation faced by alumni are different by countries. Numbers of alumni may be different, or Japanese business operations and its scale, or the size of Japanese community in each country may differ from one country to another. What I found particularly interesting in Jason's presentation is the dissemination of information of MEC scholarship programs for college students. When I was a freshman, I was not aware of the existence of this program, but one of my professors have introduced me to this program, and that was the reason I was lucky enough to come to Japan through that program. I truly hope that Jason's activities are facilitating many students' plans coming to Japan. And I think that exposure to these programs or information to this kind of programs can be quite useful for high school students as well, because these are the students who are yet to discover what they want to do. So it may be even more useful to give information to high school students as well. Thank you very much for your input. Natalia, thank you very much for your comments. Jason's presentation introduced the networking meetings organized by the Consulate General, and Natalia also suggested that it would be useful to introduce this program to high school students. Both embassy and the Consulate General have been keenly aware of the need to promote the knowledge of international programs and scholarship programs. In managing alumni association, you may be working closely with the embassy and the consulate general. If you haven't already, please do reach out to us so that we can provide support. As for high school programs, middle school and elementary schools, not only the promotion of international study Japan programs, I want them to learn more about Japanese culture in general. We have programs by visiting elementary, middle school, and high schools. We provide information sessions for high school students. We can also discuss study in Japan programs. So please do work closely with our embassies and consulate generals. If you're interested, please do reach out to us if you are interested in organizing such programs for high school and middle school students.
We'd now like to move on to the next presentation, which is from Ashok-san from India. And the theme is South Asian Federation of Japanese Universities Alumni Association's recent initiatives. So Ashok-san, please, the floor is yours.
Good morning, everyone. At the outset, let me thank the Ministry of Foreign Affairs for giving me the opportunity of participating at this conference. Thank you so much, sir. I will speak about South Asian Federation of Japanese Universities Alumni Association, emphasizing some of the new initiatives that we have taken. To begin with, may I just say a few words about my own association, which is Mombusho Scholars Association of India. I'm the president of this association. My name is Ashok Jain. Basically, we concentrate on academic and educational contacts between India and Japan. Since we are a small organization, just about 218 members, we do not touch too many areas of Indo-Japan cooperation. We limit ourselves to educational and academic contacts. Interestingly, our members are not necessarily mixed scholars. We believe that any Indian who has spent more than 1 year of research and study period in Japan is as good as a mixed scholar in terms of knowing Japan and commitment to Indo-Japan cooperation. So our membership extends to all those who have studied in Japan for a year or more. Now, two basic aspects of our association. One is the Japanese language, and the other is counseling for studying in Japan. Usual things. In Japanese language, we have been conducting Japanese language speech contest with Japan Foundation since 1986. The speech contest in cooperation with the Embassy of Japan and Japan residents in India. 4 regional contests are held: North, South, East, West, and the final is held in Delhi. Japanese language proficiency test since 1986. Some 6,000 students take in Delhi alone. Then we have a MOFA, Institute of Japanese Language. This was a Japanese language teaching program of the Embassy of Japan, which was handed over to us in 2002. Study in Japan is something which we started in 1989 through first with educational fairs and then counseling on behalf of the embassy. We do the counseling both online and on telephone and on person to person. Then we introduced the examination of Japanese universities since 2005. Twice a year we have been holding this. So these are basically the activities which are common in many ways to almost all the SAFJUA member countries with varying degree of intensity. Since 2019, we started a new activity, which is basically trying to decipher the historical connections between India and Japan. And this is a study forum which has international scholars, not limited to India and Japan. 2 publications have been brought out. In addition to these 2 publications, we also brought out a book in English summarizing the Nobel Prize winners of Japan. We thought that the younger people in India need to know that Japan has excellent Nobel laureates. Interestingly, all of them have studied in Japan. Now I'll come to SAFJUA. So the associations are listed. Association, Alumni Association Nepal, since 1973. India, of course, 1986. Sri Lanka, 1993. Pakistan, 1996. Bangladesh, 2000. And very recently, we added Bhutan in 2013. Now, this is a slightly flexible organization in terms the presidentship changes annually, alphabetically. Activities are that we have annual meetings which with a half-day seminar on topics suggested by the host. We introduced a new initiative in 2019, which is called the Japanese Language Speech Contest, in which winners of each country participate. And this, we have held 7 so far. And during the COVID period, we had it online. Let me now come to the future. I think what binds us is the cultural links with Japan that have been historically constituted. To movement of people, to movement of goods. these links go beyond the SAFJUA members and encompass really the entire East Asia and Southeast Asia. It's an important point which I wish to emphasize. Now, people-to-people contact, in our understanding, the festivals, the crafts, the music, and the art really touch the hearts of many people. And therefore, our endeavor would be that SAFJUA should work towards becoming a platform to collect information and disseminate information on historically formed cultural and social connections between India and the South Asian countries. Gradually, this would expand because there is commonality on festivals going beyond South Asia, covering Southeast Asia and even East Asia. All this is possible, but I think this will require re-engineering of the management structures of the member associations. The continuity is a big problem, and I think this is an area where, Your Excellency, I would like to concentrate on. Thank you so much.
Hi.
Ashok-san, thank you very much. Now, I would like to turn to Christian-san from Argentina to make some comments.
Thank you very much, Professor Jain, for a wonderful presentation. I'm really impressed about the amount of activities you're carrying out from your association. You said you've been limiting your activities only to education, but that's a lot by itself. And I'm also impressed about the variety of the activities. You may be thinking that we are all doing the same kind of activities, but actually we don't. For example, in Argentina, from the Max Alumni Association, we're not engaging in activities like JLPT or Japanese language speech contest. Actually, there is another organization that is called Zairezenchi Nihongo Kyoiku Rengokai, that is in charge of the JLPT and the Japanese language speech contest. But I know they are lacking of human resources. So now that I know that our alumni association can also engage in these kind of activities, I would like to reach out to them and ask them how can we collaborate with them to improve these kind of activities. I'm also really impressed about the South Asian Federation of Japanese Universities Alumni Associations and how you try to work together and put together efforts to improve the activities and get to better results. And I'm thinking in Argentina, we have, for example, beside the Max Alumni Association, JICA, former Alumni Association, Japan Foundation, former Alumni Association, Ministry of Education, former Alumni Association. But we are not communicated at all. We don't know what they are doing. They don't know what we are doing. So I think when I'll be back to Argentina, I will try to reach also to them, to try to know them better and try to do some things together, put efforts together to improve our activities and try to get better results. So thank you very much. I learned a lot from your presentation.
Thank you very much indeed. I think the point you are making about connecting with people is extremely important. Fortunately, I think you would agree that with online connectivity and Zoom meetings and so on and so forth, it has become quite possible. In fact, the books that we have produced with international contributions, all the presentations and discussions were online. Similarly, sir, our counseling cell, for example, the reason why we are able to reach out to so many students in India, two reasons. One, that we deal with Japanese language teaching. So the Japanese language students are in our mailing list. Then we do JLPT. Again, students who are taking JLPT are interested in Japan. It's a huge number of mailing lists. Third, therefore, the counseling cell, in a sense, builds on this network, because mailing list is a crucial point. And how to connect with people? Anybody interested in Japanese language would be interested in going to Japan. So JLPT, then on top of it, we have EJU. So I think what has happened is that, to me, it appears that if we have a huge mailing list, update it. The critical point I mentioned about re-engineering of the management, each and every email, each and every telephone has to be answered, which means that some of our members have to dedicate their time, and we announce it publicly, that this member would be available this day between this time and this time. So a little bit of management restructuring does help, and incidentally, we work very closely with Japan Foundation, with JICA, with, of course, the Japanese Embassy, and interestingly, with Japanese residents associations. Because through them, we are able to reach out to Japanese family living at least in Delhi. So that's a very, very important sort of encouraging factor for us. So thank you so much for your remarks, and thank you so much, sir.
I totally agree with you. Thank you very much.
はい、アショクさん、それから、
Ashok-san and Christian-san, thank you very much.
We would now like to be joined by participants online. From online participants, we are currently collecting questions, which I now would like to read out. There are two questions. Both of them are in English, so allow me to read it in English. The first question was from New South Wales in Australia. Michelle Miller.
Jason, thank you for your presentation. As background, I graduated from Tokyo Gaigo Dai in 1978 and work as a translator. Can you tell us more about your engagement in monitoring, as I see it as a very important part of our mission as alumni?
Just to be certain, the question is on engagement in monitoring? In mentoring, okay. Well, that's an excellent question. Thank you very much for asking the question. So there are other organizations, at least in Victoria, so I can only speak from the perspective of Victoria, that engage in mentoring, and these are some of the business organizations of Victoria. However, as someone who works at a university, I am just about every day connected with the students, with the university students, but also we do welcome high school students to the university all the time as well. And so I think I'm in a particularly fortunate position to be able to speak with students very early in their lives, very early in their careers, and just talk to them about things and to let them know what opportunities might be available to them, available for them. And when I mentioned that we would like to, we would really like to do more of these activities, I think what we have in mind is, first of all, building a structure whereby we can do these activities several times a year. Right now, it's a bit ad hoc. Where we have the opportunities, we take the opportunities. So we would like to formalize how we offer these kinds of mentoring opportunities. And I should just say that I myself, very early in my life, had some wonderful mentors. Some of my mentors were people from the Gaimusho, for example, who may have worked at the Japanese consulate, where I was born, and they actually paid attention to me. They told me about opportunities that were available, and they just gave me time. And they made all the difference in my life. And so I think this is the attitude, this is the philosophy that I would like to bring to it in formalizing these opportunities. I hope I was able to at least somewhat answer your question. Thank you very much.
はい、ありがとうございました。
Thank you very much. So moving on to the second question. It's from Sajiv of Sri Lanka. A question to Ashok-san from India, basically. So I'd like to read it out in English.
Experience with setting up the Niigata University Peradeniya University Sister Link program. I feel having had a Japanese course within the PhD program was very helpful for me to continue collaboration with Niigata University even after returning to Sri Lanka. I recommend a Japanese course for all PhD programs for foreign students coming to Japan. What are the views of the host? Thank you.
Well, certainly, sir, it's a very good suggestion. I think anybody who studies in Japan, exception like me, should learn the Japanese language. I'm not the best person to recommend that, but I know how much I have suffered because of not learning the language. So certainly everybody who goes to Japan should learn the language. Thank you.
はい、それでは次の質問に移りたいと思います。
Next question. We have one more question. This is going to be the last question. And this question is also addressed to Ashok from India. Francisca and Katia in Mexico have posed this question in English.
What are the challenges to create a confederation of regional associations of Japan alumni? Since Latin America already started online sessions, we think that the normal path toward the future will be to officially create a confederation. Therefore, what are the challenges, the benefits, and the most outstanding good practice for an integral union of these? And another question related to this one is, I believe Ashok-san mentioned that the president changes alphabetically every year. How do they guarantee that all new and older members participate?
I think excellent question, because this is the thing which I referred to as re-engineering of the management structure. I think it is necessary because every year the presidents may change, but I think there are two simple answers. One, each association must have an official email address. See, many of the associations, the presidents or the secretary, the personal email is used. So once it is changed, continuity is lost. So each association must have an official email so that the continuity is possible, the records are possible. Number two, I think activity-wise, people should continue for at least 3-4 years. Not necessary that the president or the office bearers are responsible for an activity. For example, JLPT, for us, there is a separate team. Irrespective of president, irrespective of secretary, the team continues. So I think my humble suggestion would be that focus on activities, make people in charge of those activities so that over the years it gets stabilized. This is extremely important in terms of counseling. Honestly, counseling information is available on the net, but to match that information with the local needs is not easy. The education system differs from country to country. And the student is not enough for me to say it is available on the net. I have to reinterpret that for the need of the child. So I think a counselor must first herself or himself become familiar with the information that is available so that he can then interpret it. So my suggestion would be, please have dedicated people activity-wise. Thank you.
はい、ありがとうございました。
Thank you.
こちらにご出席されてます対面の参加者の方からも
Now we would like to receive questions from people here at the venue. So if you have any questions, please put up your name plates like this.
それではこちらから
So then from this side, Christian-san, please. Thank you very much. This is a question to Mauricio from Colombia. So when you had the South Asian Association conference, what were the difficulties that you faced and how did you overcome that?
Thank you very much for the question. Yes, it was a very challenging process. It was the first time for us to face this kind of activity in our association. And what we found as a very difficult point of the process was to get people involved in the process. I mean, the association we have in Latin America, we have several associations. Some of them are very structured. Some others are not that structured. And ours is one of those not very well structured. So we have to bring the process among the few people that were interested in doing that and working with that. And trying to get awareness from the other associations that are also, I mean, weak in their structure, and try to get the process involved in the process. A second part that was challenging was the topics we wanted to discuss in the event. We did it democratically. I mean, we did a list of activities or questions that were related with the present situation of the world of the region, and relevant topics, as I mentioned before. And then we sent the questions to the other associations for them to select 3 of them. And as a result, we had nice questions, but then we needed to ask people to be, what are the most knowledgeable people to be part of the panels. And that was also difficult. And the third part, which is very important for us, is that we needed it to be gender equal. And that was very difficult. I mean, the number of women is drastically lower than the number of men working in the associations or having the scholarships, actually, from the very beginning. So we tried to do, we did the most we could to have the same number of women and men participating in the panels. And at the end, well, we had a panel that is the World Assembly for Women, so they were all women. But we had a panel of diplomacy, and they were all men. So we had to, well, we didn't have to, but we had a person that is very expert in that. She's part of the association, so she was the moderator and was the only woman in the panel. So it's not a panel, it was a manel. That was difficult. And there's something that we always face in this kind of activities.
ありがとうございます。実は素晴らしいイベント。
Thank you. It was a wonderful event, and that was why I wanted to ask you this question. Thank you. From Mexico, Luisa.
Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for your presentation, Mauricio. I really enjoyed it, and also the event, like the Latin American Forum. I think it's a main project now for all the associations in Latin America. And I think AMEC and Colombia, we are very interested in this event to continue. for many, many years. And I think we are both like willing to keep leading the way, right? So for like the next country who is gonna like host the event. So in this line, I would like to ask you, like, what was the most useful advice or practice from a MEC that helped you to continue the event? And what was lacking? What would you like us to like do that will be, I mean, that would have done the process more helpful, right? So I think it's very important to somehow highlight these two sides for the to have like better results every time. So that will be like my two questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Luisa. Well, I have to say that one thing that made things much easier was, I don't want to be, what is the word for that? I don't know. But the support of AMEC was very big. And the support from Japan was also very big. So one suggestion is attend those who already work with that and follow their advice, because that advice is very important for the event to be successful. And we did so. So you did a good job the previous year, a much bigger event. We knew that our limitations, so we did like half of the event. You have seven different panels. We did 3, just because we knew that we were not able to do more than 3. We cannot have the possibility to do that. So we prefer to concentrate our efforts and did only 3 panels. And that was like a good result of it. I mean, we don't need to show our weakness, just reduce the size of the event, and that's all. And the second part of the question, well, we got people asking to participate half a day before the event.
That's a short
So they really don't realize the size of the effort that has to be made to get the event. So they wrote, we received emails the day before saying, I want to participate. Thank you very much. But you have 3 weeks or 4 weeks, a month and a half before to ask for this. Yeah, we have all the presentations, everything was done. So there is a mistake in our side to get more information provided to the association, so they were aware that the things are to be made well in advance. Well, after that, when we were told that we have to participate in this event, we received an instruction to send our presentation a month before. And I said, wow, a month before, that's too much. And it's true, it has to be a month before. So that is something that we have to and more in our culture, in Latin America, we had this problem, and we did everything exactly the minutes before the event. So that is something we have to solve. Thank you, Lisa.
はい、ありがとうございました。いろいろと
Thank you very much. Yes, I believe the way you prepare may change depending on the region, and that's a very interesting aspect.
答えがお聞きすることができましたけど、他に質問
So, any other questions?
それでは、どうぞ。
Yes, go ahead, please. I'm Ombo from Papua New Guinea.
Goes to Asok-san. You were mentioning about the JLPT, but this can also go to other presenters here or members here to answer, and also maybe from the Japanese end as well too. Now in my previous school, this would be the 4th year for my students to sit for the JLPT test, organized by the Japan Foundation. Yeah. And my students, I have about, break them up into two groups. There's about 50 students in my class, 25 each. And they learn Japanese for 3 hours a week. That's too small, I think. So to sit for a JLPT test, from the lowest, that's N5, downwards, or upwards, it's going N4, N3, N2, N1. We all know that. So do we have a cutoff point for our students? How many hours or so, or how many, length, duration of time that the students have to study this, study Japanese before they can even sit for the N5 or so down? Because I don't want my students to sit for, who have studied for 6 or 7 months per year and then sit for an N5 exam, which I know and which they know that they will plunge. Thank you.
May I answer it now? Of course, the Japan Foundation is the right people to answer this, but in our experience, 220 hours of basic Japanese, Minna no Nihongo or whichever, basically Minna no Nihongo, is the minimum for N5. 220 hours of basic Japanese. Add another 220 hours, you are good for N4. Thank you.
はい、ありがとうございました。
Thank you. Any other questions? One more question. From Tajikistan, excuse me, Turkmenistan, Merdan-san, please.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your presentations to all the three representatives, Mr. Mauricio, Mr. Jason, and Mr. Ashok. And since your presentation was like in the area of like regional initiatives of all of your three, and as for me, my area of concern is like PR activities, support for future scholars, and then of course like the PR activities. And I think like the successive area will be like the regional activities, regional level initiatives, like just like yours. So since we are also like Central Asia, the CIS region, and sooner or later, I suppose like we will have this area as well concerning us on the regional level. And I just wanted to get a small advice, which is like could be the best thing that you could advise us before we reach the regional level initiatives, so that we can like have that in mind. Thank you. Like just a small piece of advice from every one of you.
Please allow me to start. I think my, if I could give any advice, I would pay attention to the structures that you build, including the management structures, because those need to be sustainable. And simple things such as continuity of contact, continuity of, I feel like I'm taking all of your points, but it's true. We have those same basic issues will nag you all throughout. So I think it's a very good idea to, yes, sometimes if we don't do things in an ad hoc way, they may not get done. But these sorts of things, I think it's a good idea to pay attention to from the start, so that you can build a sustainable structure.
Thank you.
I would say that one thing that is important, very important, is to start communicating with the other associations well in advance of the event. I mean, we did it because of the event. We didn't know about the association. We didn't know that Brazil has a lot of associations. I think it was only one, and as in Colombia. And we have to know that just because we are part of the team. And we have to bring this communication in front of us as soon as possible. and continue doing it regardless of the need of an event or not. We have to keep communicating each other.
Thank you.
アショクさんもお願いできますでしょうか。
Ashok, please.
Well, I think the points have been made. I would, in my humble experience, I think we tend to depend too much on our members alone. But I think many of the members would like to hear from experts. So I suggest you try to become a platform which can be used for useful information, for interesting information. And for this, maybe your own members are not the right communicators, but doesn't matter. I think at least you have contacts with your members and be that platform for connecting them with experts. I said, I mean, we are not in a position to give any advice, but some thoughts.
Thank you all.
はい、ありがとうございました。他に質問はありません。
Thank you very much. If there are no other questions, we now like to move on to the next part. But here we have looked at regional initiatives. That as the reason why we have this Japan Alumni Conference is to understand the experiences of the regional initiatives so that you can take back the learning and utilize the new knowledge in your association's activities. So I believe we have heard a lot and we have had a lot of good questions. But even if there are things that you weren't able to ask here, if there might be questions that you might secretly ask, I do understand that you have a lot of time to spend together. So I hope that you can talk to each other and learn from each other. And tomorrow in the afternoon, we will have a session with ASEAN members. There is an association called ASCOJA. And ASCOJA has its own annual meeting, and I believe we will be able to hear a lot from the ASEAN members. So I do hope that you can utilize that opportunity as well. So now moving on to the next theme.
Theme number 2 is the support for international students. From Solomon, Uzbekistan, New Zealand, and Turkmenistan, we receive presentations. After each presentation, comments will be made from participants from Hungary, Mexico, India, and America, respectively. After 4 presentations, we will also have a QA session. From Solomon, we have Lindon-san for presentation, showcasing the Solomon Islands measures and preparations for the screening of government scholarship. Good morning, everyone. My name is Lyndon. I'm from Solomon Islands.
My presentation today will be based on the activities we have conducted in Solomon Islands as ex-scholars. So the theme of my presentation today will be showcasing Solomon Islands Japan Alumni course to our countrymen and women from shore to shore. So let me introduce to you our association. So the name of our association is Ex-Japan Scholarship Members Alumni, and it was established in 2000
11. Currently, we have 41 active members. So the objective or the purpose of this association is to provide a platform where, as former scholars, we come together, strengthen each other, promote Japan in Solomon Islands, and as well as trying to provide a support for students who want to become or to study in Japan in Solomon Islands. So these are pictures of some of the meetings we have in Solomon Islands. Okay, so the first part that I'm going to explain is how we prepare or preparing scholarship applicants on their application document and assessment. So what we actually do is that we dispatch information in the alumni Facebook page. So when the scholarship or the information about the scholarship is given out, we publish or we disseminate the information in the Facebook page we have. The second approach we do is that we visit the schools within Honiara. Honiara is the capital city of Solomon Islands. Given the fact that we have limited resources, we do volunteer basis. So we just do within the city, which is much more easy for us. So we visit the schools in different schools within the city and explain to them about the scholarship and how to apply and when you should submit. The other thing that we also do is that we engage in preparing successful recipients for exams. So those who we think that they can be successful, we prepare them as well. Or those who are interested to participate or apply for the scholarship, we prepare them well in advance before they try to take whatever application they want to submit. We also do dispatching information to education authorities in Solomon Islands. Authorities, what we mean is that there are national government authorities, and as well as we have church schools run by churches, and we have schools that are privately run as well. So we dispatch all this information to those schools, to these authorities, to dispatch the information to their respective schools that they manage. We provide space and time to talk and answer questions to the students who are interested as well. This can be done through phone calls. We chat in the Facebooks. We answer the Facebook message that they provided to us. That's what we do as well. When we visit the schools, we also identify ex-scholars or the members of the alumni. So here you can see the mature guys here. They are our members in the alumni, and they give testimonies to the students to encourage them to study in Japan. And Japan is a place to choose to further our research and build our careers as well. So those kind of information we provide to the students in high schools. The other aspect that we also do is to help students with their scholarship examinations. So what we provide is we provide study materials. These are comprehensive study materials and resources that we feel that will help the candidates to apply. We also provide tutorial service. So we offer tutorial services to mentor the candidates that want to pursue studies in Japan. We also provide online resources, like we utilize the platforms, online learning platforms like Zoom discussions. We also do that as well. We provide guidance as well, especially those who want to apply for a scholarship or to study in Japan. We provide them with the guidance on how to fill up the form, how to write good essays, essays that are very appealing. Those are things that we prepare the candidates. We also do practice questions as well, because selected candidates will undergo interview. We have to prepare them. What are the possible questions that are going to be asked? We We have to ensure that these students are well prepared before they go for the interview. Study groups, we also have, we provide study groups for the students so that it's much more easy for them to interact with us. And the learning will be much more convenient for them as well. As an alumni, the alumni, what we do is that we update the students or candidates who want to study in Japan about the due dates. We provide them with reminders. Those are very, very important so that we keep track with the students. We provide the information to them, prepare them, and then we update them about what will happen. This is very, very important. I think that's all I have for this presentation. Thank you so much for your listening.
Lyndon, thank you very much for your presentation. From Hungary, Emesh would provide some comments on his presentation.
From Hungary, I make my comment in English now. Thank you for your wonderful presentation, and it's really fantastic what you're doing, this effort with 41 people. This must be a huge effort. I know how difficult it is to put people together and as a volunteer to ask them to go and promote this program. We, in Hungary, just compared to your country, we also do orientations, but we never go to schools. We put it on a Facebook, we put it on social networks, and we ask people if they're interested to come to our place, and we will make an orientation. This is a very nice and very good idea, what you're doing, that going to school and providing materials. So I will actually have concrete question about it. But before that, I also would like to mention that as my experience, students, especially from high school, they are really not self-confident about passing the exams. So they're always afraid of how to make the application, what to write down, especially, I don't know, in your countries, but especially the math is very difficult because the structure, how they educate in Hungary and in Japan, the Japanese math high school lectures or materials is not connected, not in the Hungarian education system. So actually when they do the math test, the Hungarian students, high school students, has to study the university math level to pass the exam, which if we explain to them, they are of course not self-confident, and what they say that okay, I'm very good in math, I'm not gonna pass the exam. So what I'm trying to tell you is that this is really nice that you providing materials, you studying together with the students, you going to schools and put effort in it. And my questions is really very concrete questions. I would love to know how many schools do you visit a year, and how many students are joining this material study groups. And if they join the study groups, what are the percentage passing the exam? Because that would be really interesting. If it works and you say it's like 100%, then probably you should all do that. So, last one question, how long do you study them? I mean, how long does this study group? So is it like a couple of months that you preparing together with them, or is it like just a few weeks? So it would be really interesting, these concrete questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Hungary, for your nice questions. Yeah, I think 2 questions you answered here. But first, I think your comment, based on your comment, especially when we volunteered our time to go to the schools and visit all the schools, I think what actually comes back to us is that for I think we feel as we owe Japan because for me especially, I spent 8 years in Japan under the MEX scholarship, and I feel I am indebted to the Japanese people because my master's and PhD were funded by the Japanese taxpayers. So I have to give something in return. So most of us, we do it voluntarily just because we feel indebted to the people of Japan. That is one thing. With regards to your question about mathematics, for Solomon Islands, we have the same problem as well. Especially for the undergraduates, we don't have, the success rate is, I think, very little. And we have the same problem with mathematics. Because the one we adopt, I think it's British style. So, because we were colonized by Britain, and our education system is tailored towards the British style of education. And that is one of the limitations we have. With mathematics, I think the students from Solomon Islands, the concept they know, but the way how the question is asked makes them confused. So that's the biggest problem with us, especially for the undergraduate. For the research scholarship, we are doing fine with it. So we have like two students per year for the next. We hope it will be increased in the future. So that is the challenge we have. You ask about the number of students, how many schools we visited. Yeah, last year we visited, I think, 2 schools or 3 within the Solomon Islands. But most of us, we have a professional job as well. So we find time just within there to visit those schools as well. So it's quite challenging for us. That's the only thing. So with regards to the pass rate for the undergrad, it's quite difficult because of the mathematics. So most of the time, the success we have is towards the research students. So for research students, we prepare them, give them information in advance, and tell them as well that if I survive in Japan, you can also survive as well. Those kind of information we have to make them feel confident about themselves as well. I think Genesis is one of program that students in the Pacific, they come over to Japan. I think this has an impact to the undergrad students. It's provided to the University of the South Pacific, and most of the time they come over to Japan, and when they go back, they said, okay, let me try the Mombukasho scholarship, because coming to Japan and they were very, intrigued by the level of standard of technology and everything here in Japan. So they went back, they go to the embassy and say, please, we want to try the MEX scholarship. So those are some of the good things about Japan doing for Pacific Island countries. Thank you so much.
はい、リンドンさん、そして梅さん、ありがとうございました。
Lyndon, Umesh, thank you very much. Math classes in Japan is something that is very difficult, and I agree with it very much. Government sponsorship screening preparation is being supported by the Alumni Association, which I think is a great initiative, not only in Solomon, but in other chapters. I truly hope that you start considering providing such support for future scholars.
So next is from Uzbekistan, Damira-san, who will be talking about job seeking and business support after returning from study overseas. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. And I am Damira. I am from Uzbekistan, and I'll be speaking in Japanese. In 2009, just briefly about myself, in 2009, I came as a student for 1 year to study Japanese and Japanese culture, and also after that in 2016 for 3 years at Nagoya University. I am working at the Uzbekistan embassy. And so I will be talking about utilizing the alumni network for job seeking support and business support. So the Uzbekistan Japan University's Alumni Club was established in 2014 in July. Right now, the number of members is 387. And the purpose of the club is to have exchange among alumni and also to encourage business building, also deploying new joint projects and collaborations, and also utilizing the alumni network to support Japanese companies entering into Uzbekistan, and also providing job-seeking opportunities to students like internship and others. I'd like to utilize the following slides to explain. First, about job-seeking activities and the support that we provide. After coming back to Uzbekistan, of course, students will be worried about if they can land a job. But we have events every year. There are opportunities where students can appeal themselves, create networks, and also learn about the job opportunities. And also the Minister of Ecology, Environmental Protection and Climate Change of Uzbekistan, who is Abdukakimov. He was also a former alumni, and actually he appointed an alumni back from Japan to become the president of Central Asian Green University. And also he appointed a former alumni, Umid Turganov, to become the tourism ambassador to Nara City. And also, there is a company president who was an alumni who is recruiting former alumni to become interpreters or tour guides at his company. And other purposes of our club is to provide opportunities for former students to have exchange, to have information exchange about their experience in Japan and how they are utilizing their knowledge after returning to Uzbekistan, and also supporting students who are right back from their study in Japan, and also supporting students who want to go to Japan. Right now, we have accounts on Facebook, Telegram, Instagram. We are utilizing SMS in order to provide information about UJUAC itself and also about the events that we are holding. So the activities of UJUAC. First, we have exchange opportunities for alumni. And we also have some Japanese culture workshops and events where the Alumni Association will be cooperating. And we also have a speech contest where the returning students will be taking part as judges, sponsors, or observers and MC. And we have a Japan study fair where we provide consultation towards students who are interested in studying in Japan. And once every year, starting this year, we have started a seminar for students who are interested in coming to Japan. So from 2014 to 2023, this is the UJUAC meeting and photos taken at these opportunities. And this is on January 26th at a university. We had a seminar, and this is from that seminar. We had some university presidents, university founders who took part in talking about what kind of opportunities studying abroad can present. And some challenges ahead, we want to continue to host exchanges and seminars regularly. And it's not just the alumni that we want to have in our events, but also students who want to study abroad going forward. And we also want students to take courses to learn Japanese and also to maintain their Japanese language. And actually, we have a Japan Center where former students in Japan can keep up their study of the Japanese language. We also want to establish networks with Japanese companies so that we can have exchanges with students who have studied here in Japan. And we also want to provide opportunities for internship in Japanese companies. And lastly, thank you very much for MOFA for giving me this wonderful opportunity to present. Thank you very much. Damida-san, thank you very much. Now we'd like to receive some comments from Luisa from Mexico.
Thank you very much, Damida, for your interesting presentation. Actually, I am also very surprised because you really have many very diverse activities, especially just as Christian said before, in Latin America, usually associations, we don't get involved with language contests, right? And also, we do visit universities, but we don't do something as formal as a studying in Japan fair or fair to promote jobs in Japan. So, or in Japanese companies in your country. So I think that is very amazing. So I would like to ask you, if these promotion activities, to promote the scholarship and also to promote these, the fairs for working in Japanese companies, do they take place just in the capital city, or are there some efforts to go into other areas within the country?
Thank you.
Okay. And also, I would like to ask you, what do you think are what the former students who want to look for a job in a Japanese company need the most? What do you think is what they find more useful for you, from you, as in in assistance? And yeah, that would be my question. Two questions actually. Thank you.
Thank you for your question. So my presentation was in Japanese, so I will answer my question in Japanese.
Well, the events are about Japanese culture, and also the seminars that we hold are done in Tashkent City. But also people from the regions, we want them to take part. Therefore, we send out Zoom links so that they can access these events through Zoom. But the alumni club, well, of course, you want to meet your friends, you want to meet people who were studying together. Many people want that. So even if they live in the region, they will try to schedule in these events and come to the alumni club events. There are many who do that. And the second question, former students who want to have a job here in Japan or at a Japanese company, what kind of advice do we provide? Of course, people who want to have a job here in Japan, but there are students who don't know how to go about seeking jobs here in Japan. So first of all, we start from talking about is needed in order to study in Japan, and also if they want to get a job in Japan, they have to learn about what kind of education they need, what kind of expertise they need to build up. So starting from studying in Japan, and then we provide the necessary information, and also former students will provide advice about what is needed in order to seek a job in Japan. And going forward, in seminars, we are hoping that we can invite Japanese companies. We are trying to arrange that right now. If there are opportunities, we are hoping that students who are interested in studying in Japan can come to our seminars so that they can directly ask the Japanese companies questions that they have in mind. So thank you very much. So thank you.
Tamira, Luisa, thank you very much. We'd now like to welcome Paul from New Zealand to make a presentation. Support for new international students going to Japan and development of communications and networking among the alumni. Paul, floor is yours. Thank you for your kind introduction. Firstly, I would like to express my gratitude to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Japan for providing me with the wonderful opportunity to come to Japan for the fourth Alumni Conference. I'd also like to extend my thanks to the Ministry of Education, Culture, Sports, Science, and Technology for the scholarship that allowed me to study in Japan. Through intellectual experiences, I was able to learn in Japan, gain insights into amazing Japanese values that has enriched my life. So thank you, the government of Japan and people of Japan. Today, representing the Mixed Scholar Alumni Association in New Zealand, I am honored to give you this presentation. We have 3 branches in New Zealand. The first chapter was established in the capital, Wellington, in 1995, with 40 current members. Christchurch chapter has 63 members, and Auckland chapter has 108 members. I'm one of the members of the Auckland chapter. I was granted the MEX Scholarship 34 years ago in 1990. I studied Japanese language and culture at Kyushu University and later pursued modern accounting at Ita University. I believe that international students, including myself, feel honored to receive such a broad range of education, and we were very fortunate. Scholarship not only helps acquire expertise, but also contributes to providing young individuals who, while understanding Japan well, can become leaders in various fields. Individuals with expertise in their respective fields and knowledge about Japan would possess an incredibly powerful combination of competencies. Such international students shall return to their home countries to become highly sought-after talents from various companies. They're expected to demonstrate their abilities in the workshop, becoming influential leaders while building strong connections with Japan. Is this happening in reality, though? Based on my experience back in New Zealand, It seems, unfortunately, that such scenario is rather rare or insufficient in number. Conversely, or on the contrary, individuals who receive prestigious scholarships like the Rhodes Scholarship from the UK and study at Oxford University often return to New Zealand and achieve success, becoming influential figures in their respective fields. My question is, why such a difference exists? And how Japanese scholarship program or scholarship recipients can contribute more effectively to their home countries. Now, let me explain why this is an important point. Is it enough for international students to continue their studies and careers upon returning to their home countries? I believe the answer is no, because international students can and should achieve more than that. The government of Japan invests significant funds in the MEC scholarship program. This investment covers various expenses, such as students' airfare to Japan, living expenses during their studies, and professors' salaries. I also believe there are additional costs involved, including the construction costs of the dormitories for international students. The Japanese government is making all these investments funded by the Japanese taxpayers, so it rightfully places high expectations on these international students after finishing their studies. These expectations go beyond acquired expertise in their specific fields. If knowledge acquisition were the only goal, then the Japanese government could provide scholarship for foreigners to study at universities in the US, for example. However, the true goal of this scholarship program is for international students to become genuine friends of Japan, understanding deeply the challenges Japan faces and passionately pursuing people in the respective countries about Japan's position. And they are best suited for doing so. While I cannot comment on behalf of other countries' international students and alumni, unfortunately, there may be few such students in New Zealand who fulfill the intended goal. This is not to say that MEC scholarship students are always expected to support Japan on every issue. Today, countries, including Japan, face various challenges and issues. The remarkable aspect of international study program is that having lived in Japan for an extended period, they have experienced both the positive and negative aspects of Japanese life. Therefore, international students on MEC scholarship programs have a practical understanding of Japan based on real experiences. We, as international students, are in a good position to provide a positive and balanced and level-headed perspective. For these reasons, I believe it is only natural for the Japanese government to have high expectations for international students. Now, why do international students, upon returning to their home countries, often find limited demand and struggle to build strong connections with Japan? This is a very complex question beyond the scope of this brief presentation. However, I would like to consider the challenges of what can actually be done. I'm speaking from my own experience. For about 20 years after completing my studies in Japan, I mostly worked in Japan. This was because the demand for employment in Japan was significantly higher than in New Zealand. During that time, many fellow students returned to their respective countries to continue their studies or start their careers, making my situation quite different from theirs. 13 years ago, in 2011, I returned from Japan to New Zealand. I immediately joined the Auckland branch of the MEX Alumni Association and started attending events. The number of events was limited. They were mainly consisted of farewell dinners for new international students, held mainly at the official residence of Consulate General of Japan in Auckland. These dinners were wonderful opportunities for former students like myself to share our experiences and reignite our passion for Japan. However, at these dinners, I was rather disappointed to discover that there were alumni who, upon returning to New Zealand, had not built significant careers related to Japan. It was both disheartening and seemed like a missed opportunity. In fact, I found myself in this category as well. The job I started upon returning to New Zealand had no connection whatsoever with Japan. While subsequent jobs were fulfilling, they did not require the specific experience gained in Japan. For example, among the 63 members of the Christchurch chapter, only 22 work in fields related to Japan, representing a mere 35%. What can explain the situation of myself and others? The key is that New Zealand companies do not fully understand the value of our experiences in Japan. What I was most interested was that even Japanese companies in New Zealand struggled to fully recognize our value. This is a crucial point to make. If there are no job opportunities related to Japan, alums will have to find employment without any connection to Japan. For former international students, if there are no promising career opportunities after completing their studies, the study program does not look appealing. To better achieve results from the MEX scholarship program, I believe the key is to attract outstanding scholarship candidates. Now, there are some job opportunities related to Japan for returning international students in New Zealand, though it is limited in number. For instance, I know people working at the University of Auckland's Japanese Studies Department and those who have started translation businesses. These individuals do indeed have influence and successful careers. However, in my opinion, they did not wield significant influence and support in Japanese and New Zealand politics and business. It would be fantastic if alumni could contribute to jobs that foster friendly international relations between the two countries. While this may be challenging to achieve, I have one suggestion to make. That is for New Zealand and Japanese companies to actively participate in the job placement activities of international students from Japan. Particularly for Japanese companies, providing job opportunities for international students to work in Japan while they're still in Japan could be beneficial. After gaining several years of experience in Japan, returning to their home countries and connecting that experience to their work could lead to even better results. This could provide a positive career path for future international students. While serving as a period in a company may not be necessary for those who want to continue their studies or engage in education or the arts, it could be extremely valuable for many international students. Additionally, showcasing positive career paths and opportunities in a scholarship system could make it more attractive to future international students. This is just one idea, and I believe there are many other ways to support MEC scholarship recipients and alumni in being more successful after returning home. In conclusion, my hope as MEC scholarship alumni is for individuals to succeed in their respective fields, maintain strong connections with Japan in both work and personal life, and build strong relationship between Japan and their home countries in a positive and well-balanced manner. To achieve this, I am continuously making efforts on this front. Thank you very much for your close attention. Thank you, Paul, for your presentation. On his presentation, Ashok from India would make some comments.
Paul-san, you've raised questions which I'm sure all of us have wondered about. I mean, yes, I think these are important questions. And I don't have answers, but let me share with you my understanding of these questions. On first, the students who have received scholarship and studied in Japan, are they connected with Japan? Now, I believe they are. Not necessarily through my association or your association, but in their own way. For example, if there is a Japanese food festival in a country, in any city, they all attend. Why? Because they're still connected with Japan. I scan the Facebook, any number of mixed scholars, they do not interact with MOSAI, but they have their own groups, talking about Japan, sharing pictures, and so on and so forth. So I think the manifestation of continuing connection with Japan are little widespread, and I get frustrated that, look, they are not interacting with MOSAI, whereas we are meant to be an association of mixed scholars primarily. But then I see that in many ways we conducted a survey, in fact, asking what have you gained from studies in Japan. Believe me, the maximum was the work culture, not the discipline. So they are connected with Japan, I suppose, in many ways. So it's a question of, that's where I come back to my sort of theme of people-to-people contacts. Now, people-to-people contact need not translate in terms of jobs in a Japanese company. It need not translate into membership of my association, participating in my events. So, in essence, I've reconciled myself to the fact that those people who have lived in Japan are connected with Japan. And I have a very strong feeling that, man, it's not only Japan. I mean, I have lived in, let's say, UK. I have visited Vietnam. Now, once you visit a country, and especially once you live, you do get connected. That's the first observation. I don't have answers. To the other questions of jobs in Japanese companies, is it peculiar to Japan? I mean, jobs are available on the basis of competence. Whether you have gained that competence from Japan or USA, from within the country, except few types of jobs. In my case, I became science attaché in Indian embassy because I had studied in Japan. But these are very few types of. But I do feel, and I share with you, that connection with Japanese companies of MEC scholars is weak. To the extent that many of the MEC scholars, while in Japan, would not have visited a Japanese company. And they have not visited any Indo-Japanese joint collaboration. So in fact, I had requested the Japanese embassy through Japanese Chamber of Commerce and Industry and so on, to periodically arrange visits of these former scholars to Japanese companies, especially to the manufacturing companies. So I think there is some effort required in retaining the interest of MEC scholars directly to Japan. So I agree with you, and I suppose the purpose of this meeting is just that we are discussing with the Japanese Ministry of Foreign Affairs, we are discussing among ourselves, and surely somewhere something will happen. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
はい、ポールさん、アショクさん、ありがとう。
Paul-san, Ashok-san, thank you very much. And next will be the last presentation for the morning. Mirdan-san from Turkmenistan will be talking about PR awareness and support for the study program in Japan prior to post.
Good afternoon, Your Excellency and the organizing committee, dear respected participants. Thank you very much for inviting me and all of us for this wonderful event to represent our activities in a certain country. My topic, or my area of concern is PR awareness and support for the study program in Japan. So we would like to touch on the prior to the departure to Japan and the post arrival after completing the studies. So back in Turkmenistan, we have the Mixed Alumni Organization, which was established in July 2018, which is recent and at the nascent level, comparing to all of you, all of your like organizations back at home. And since we started in 2018, we had the COVID situation in 2019 all over the world, and we couldn't do much of the activities and programs related with the PR. So for the last few years, we have been conducting regular seminars, sessions once or twice a year, providing like a brief introduction about the Japanese education, about the Japanese culture and social life. Also, among the presenters, like we are most of the time 2 or 3 people, like from different cities who studied like in different universities. with a different area of specialization. So mostly when we do the briefing sessions to the prospective students back at home, mostly we have like the university students and maybe like some high school students. And we provide the seminar like for 1 hour or so, and then we have a Q&A session. We do have we are open like for resolving the questions and for answering like different sorts of like questions from the prospective students, but we do mostly do it like in the organized and scheduled like seminars. So, and this is the picture that it's displayed. This is like the alumni of the MEX scholars like alumni like from Turkmenistan. So we are like mostly 15 to 20 members like all over the country, and that keeps on varying depending on the availability of the MEX scholars. Like some might dislocate like to other countries like for the job reasons and many other reasons. And since we have started like very recently, we have the initiatives, but we don't have the proper structure and proper like schedule or programming like regarding like how to proceed with the PR program in the best possible way. So few of the initiatives are like frequent briefings and guidances. So maybe we have to increase like the interaction with by multiplying like the sessions, adding more cities like into the scope, since we are doing it only like in the capital city, Ashgabat. And some of the region and some of the prospective students who are interested to study in Japan, they might not be able to attend it due to the proximity. And creating Japanese Corner Center for the ease of access to Japanese language and culture in other cities. And we don't even have the cultural center in the capital city yet. So, and also like since the knowledge about the Japanese education and the Japanese society and culture is not very known and close to us, and we have been started like cooperating in terms of education and economic friendship and collaboration recently. I suppose that we need like more data and information through the different platforms of SNS, some blogs, some vlogs, which could actually help, not just like in the terms of, this is purely for educational like purposes, but we also need like to add more relevant content like regarding the social life, the professional life in Japan, and how to move around, how to go about it. So, of course, that the same content could be like in our local language or in Japanese, who wish to go to Japan and do their undergrad or graduation. So I suppose that like most of the time, like when the fresh students like happen to arrive or happen to succeed like in the scholarship, they spend a lot of time trying to get acquainted with the local culture, with the local social life, and that is why like our also content will be like targeting like such kind of things, so that the students will not be spending much of their time like to learn how to move around. So these are just random pictures. So you all know that since we all respect like the peace and the harmony, you know, in the society, and and Japan is like very much focused like on Heiwa. So we all know that these are the good things to follow, and these are the proper way, like how to move around in Japan. So this is a starting point. I mean, this can we can structure like the package of the videos and blogs, concerning like the very primitive or the very basic part, then like start like progressing like to the educational part and progressing to the professional life part. So I think like this will be like a pretty much useful, like not just for the targeted audience in our country, but maybe in other countries as well. So at this note, I would like to finish my presentation, and thank you very much for your time.
はい、メルダンさんありがとうございました。
Thank you very much, Meridan-san. And now from the United States, we'd like to have John-san to make some comments. Thank you very much for the presentation.
Make some comments in English, and have to say that when I knew I was going to comment on your presentation, I did have to look up Turkmenistan a few times just to make sure I knew exactly where, and it's such an important part of the world. It's right above Iran and Afghanistan, so from an American perspective, we're very aware there, and you have the Caspian Sea, and then Uzbekistan to the north, and the Silk Road. And it's very interesting for me to hear about the situation of mixed scholars, but also students of Japanese in your country. And I understand it must be hard with no cultural center and maybe some rural areas to bring Japanese language education to everyone. And also, don't worry that your network is new as of 2018. You are 5 years ahead of the United States. We just started last year. So one thing I do know that we have in the US is Japan Foundation materials. We're the country with 2 offices, right, in New York and Los Angeles. And they have wonderful online materials for studying Japanese language and culture called Marugoto. And I really recommend it for students in Turkmenistan. And of course, from there, you can use, SNS and social media to have chats with students of Japanese around the world. In fact, I met a youth who never studied Japanese formally in high school, but loves anime and connected with youth in Japan and learned all her Japanese using chat functions in Japanese. I was quite impressed that she could do that. And maybe if people are more remote or have more time, that's a better way to, you can go very far just doing that yourself, but talking to others. So that's maybe my one idea, hearing about the challenge that you're facing there. We're lucky that we're in a more connected world now. And for us from the United States, Japan is kind of like the gateway to East Asia, right? And then there's Korea and China. And for you, it's maybe the far end of Asia, right? The archipelago, and China is there in the middle. Yes. Between the 2 countries. And so maybe it's hard for Japan to have the same status or interest even for work as for other students. But like we were saying about this other discussion in India and New Zealand, Japanese culture is incredibly popular in America, often thought of as a high culture, right? Because it's so packaged into very refined arts, and so many Americans are interested in that aspect of Japan. And I hope that there are ways that all of those cultural modules and things that you can do online and through the internet all the arts can come over to your country and thrive over there too. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much for your comment. And we do want to properly structure like our organization and make a proper plan and how to to devise the activities, how to roll them out, and what to expect, and what are the indicators that we need like to get the best out of our planning, and accordingly work like on the deficiencies or like on the weaknesses, and hopefully like we'll be able like to achieve like some results, and similarly like make a country-wise comparison like regarding like what could be done more. And I hope this session of ours it will give me like more ideas on how to properly run the organization, so that it could benefit like both Japan and Turkmenistan, and have a general effect like to the other like stakeholders as well. Thank you. Thank you.
はい、メルダンさん、ジョンさんありがとう。
Mirdan-san, John-san, thank you very much.
We would now like to introduce some of the comments we received online. We have received 2 comments. One from New South Wales, Australia. Michelle Miller sent us a comment in English.
I agree with the panelists that the math exam can be very difficult, especially if the education system in your country allows year 11 to 12 students to specialize in certain language, arts, humanities streams that do not include math. Or if the content of the math curriculum in your country differs remarkably from Japan. It would be useful in future to debate the need for the math test in cases where the scholarship recipient is not going to study math or other science technology related courses in Japan. And 次のコメントはスリランカのシャジーブさんから。
From Shajiv in Sri Lanka.
The connection is higher if the graduates have studied Japanese language along with his or her specialty. 最後に質問が一つあります。シモン・ナイフ。
A question from Simon Knife in English.
What would you believe is the best way to promote great opportunities such as next scholarship to students interested in studying in Japan?
はい、今の質問は
To this question, who is this question addressed to?
質問されたかというのは明示されておりませんでしたので、もし
If any one of you want to answer to this question, or if possible, from Brazil, Paula, would you like to answer to the question who have not made any comment just yet? Or from Bangladesh, Horshiro-san, would either one of you want to provide an answer to this question?
Konnichiwa. Thank you for your question. I'll answer in English. About the test being in the mathematics is so difficult for most of the candidates. I would have to come in defense of Japan because the country has so many Nobel Prizes in this area. So I think that the level should not be lowered. Maybe we, the other countries, if we would like to evolve, we should try to keep up somehow. But yes, I understand that maybe getting in touch with this knowledge that's offered here in Japan, when you're in the immersion, it gets enhanced in a very accelerated way. So I think that more effort should be done from the side of the candidate, maybe, and should there be some policies to enhance the teaching math and physics and chemistry and so on, these subjects on the basis of the elementary, from the elementary school to high school. I think it's very necessary for our evolutions of all the countries. About learning Japanese, well, I'm speaking in Japanese, in English. For daily life, I can use the Japanese language, and this was one of the way how I could get some friends in Japan, and this is what I believe also that's very important. So to establish the connection, it's very important that you speak the language of the native person, because this is how you touch the heart, and this is how you can make things true. So this is, I think that should be supported to keep, even though there are the English tracks in the universities now, in the new courses, the Japanese language courses should be kept as well. Thank you.
はい、ありがとうございました。
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Corset-san, please.
Physics, math, and biology, it depends on the education system of respective countries. But language, Japanese language, to know the Japanese language, it will help to know the cultural activities, and definitely in the department, the communication with the Japanese teachers and the other colleagues. But definitely it's for science background, it needs to enrich the education system of respective countries. Thanks.
Hi.
Thank you very much for that. So it's already over time. So with this, we would like to end the morning session for the 4th Japan Alumni Conference, and the afternoon session will start from 1:30 Japan time. So if you are attending online, if you can exit Zoom, and before we start the afternoon session, maybe 10 minutes before the afternoon session starts, if you can return to Zoom, that would be great. So now we would like to take a break, a lunch break. Thank you.